Hey guys, it's Sebastian from AskSebby, and today we're going to review the Away carry-on and talk about my experiences with it in this past few months. And again, if you have watched any of our travel videos, then you've probably seen this bag with me. I've taken it a lot of different places, from Vancouver to Calgary to Banff to New York City to LA to Vegas. I think the most interesting place it's probably gone has been Jackson Hole. I haven't had a chance to share this video yet, but we took a private jet, a Challenger 300, to Jackson Hole, and to basically do kind of a road trip and drive all the way down to Denver.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Did you have a great flight?
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Go right ahead.
Cockpit right here.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Make yourselves at home.
With that said, let's dive into the pros and cons of the bag, starting off with the cons. One of the features that it pushes a lot is that it has a built-in battery pack, but for someone like me, for someone like you probably, who already has a battery pack, it doesn't really make sense to use it, and it adds on additional weight that you don't really need. The battery pack that's included is relatively weak, and I haven't actually used it at all. If you do fall into this category, I recommend removing it, just because it doesn't really add any benefit, and it just adds additional weight. Something else you might not like is the material. So some people tell me that they can buy metal ones or buy other ones of higher quality materials, and that's definitely true. If your budget is significantly higher, I would go with those because those are significantly higher quality. The final thing I initially did not like is that it did not have expandable storage. So with other bags I had on the top and at the bottom, there were slots that you had, and again, you could put your sandals or you could put a lot of other things you don't really care about. But again, I kind of realized that that's actually kind of more of a benefit depending on what you like to fly. The main reason for this is because I have seen some people with carry-on bags and it was fully loaded to the point that it couldn't fit into the metal bin. So when they were at the gate agent told them to put it in. They couldn't do it obviously, so they actually had to pay to check it. Obviously, this depends on the airline that you fly, how strict they are, how busy the plane is, as well as the gate agent. So again, sometimes they'll be nice about it and they won't care, and technically they do have to care, so it just really depends. For me, if anything, it's helped me pack a bit lighter, which is good because sometimes I do overpack. So those are the cons that I feel make sense for the bag, and again, if you don't like the bag, there's a ton of other options that might be better for you. There are a few disadvantages that I feel people blow out of proportion, and that's not really accurate. The first one is that it's a TSA lock, and that by having this, you're letting the TSA get into your stuff. They can get into your stuff anyways. There's so many videos online talking about how all they need is a pen in order to go around this.
Push gently and the zip will open.
So even if you have a lock, whatever lock you want, they can use a pen to get into your bag. It doesn't matter.
To close the suitcase, simply drag the zip pullers back over the open zip. This will seal the suitcase and without evidence of tampering.
The second major complaint I hear is that by having a battery, you're going to increase the chance of TSA stopping you. Ever since I saw that comment on the last video, one thing I've done is to not use TSA pre-check and just to see whether I've been stopped more. Again, you could argue that the sample size isn't really valid, but I have not been stopped because of one single battery. I've actually had a lot of different batteries. I have this battery pack over here, which is pretty gigantic. I typically have a recorder with me with about 4 or 5 different batteries for it as well. So about 4 or 5 of these batteries, which are for the current camera, the gimbal, as well as its batteries, and then I have 2 spare ones that are currently charging, just because I used it recently, MacBook, DSLR, and a ton of gigantic batteries for the DSLR. The only time that they wanted to check my bag was when I had a Steadicam as well as a tripod in my backpack, and it wasn't even the bag with the batteries. So that was in a separate bag, and this was the metal one, if you remember, where it was kind of like this weird looking thing where it was just a gigantic metal pole. And they, I guess, wanted to see what it was. There was no batteries in that bag. So again, I would not be too concerned about the fact that you have one battery in your bag. That's not going to cause any issues. One other thing too is that I typically go to the airport probably about 2 to 3 hours early, and the main reason is because I can go to the lounge. The fact that I'm based out of SFO means I can go to the Centurion lounge, have free food, have free alcohol, and just work. Some people might be thinking, hey, isn't that a waste of time spending 3 hours at the airport? Given how people work in today's age, or at least people I know, all you need is a computer. As long as you have a computer, you can work from anywhere. There's literally people I know who spend all day skiing during the wintertime, and then at night they end up managing a repo just to make sure everything is fine and dealing with any other bugs. We've talked about all the bad stuff, but what are the good stuff about the bag? So it's held up pretty well given all the trips I've taken. I'm not someone who's super careful with the bags. I'll randomly push it.
So this is 115.
I'm not intentionally throwing it down a set of stairs though, but again, I'm not super careful about it. There's not any scratching or any real damage. There were a few marks, but again, I used a magic eraser and I got rid of all of it. The second thing I really like is that it has a really great warranty. So again, I'm a fan of buying things and I'm willing to pay a higher price if it has a good warranty. This bag has a lifetime warranty for its wheels, for the zippers, for the shell, so if anything breaks, I can take it back into the store. So there's a store in Hayes Valley, I can just walk it over or take an Uber there, and they'll basically take care of it. I don't have to pay for shipping, I don't need to deal with anything. Even if there's not a store near you, from my understanding talking to them, you don't have to pay for shipping for the repairs. With a lot of the other bags I've used in the past, they typically break after a few uses, so I've typically been using Samsonite bags from Costco, so they typically have a bundle, 3 different bags, for about $100 to $150 depending on when you buy it. So again, that was my go-to beforehand, and I liked that because that made a lot of sense to me at that time. I wasn't traveling that much, so I'm going to buy the cheapest solution. But now that I'm starting to travel more, it just made sense for me to upgrade. With a lot of those bags, after using it for a while, the wheel always gets a bit wonky, and again, one side always tends to get bruised in for whatever reason. Again, I'm not the most careful with my stuff. The fact that I haven't had to deal with this issue for this bag, and the fact that it's technically covered, makes a lot of sense to me and is pretty awesome. The final benefit, and this one might be a cost to you, is the cost. So for me, it's a relatively reasonable price for a product as well as a really great warranty. Depending on where you fall on the spectrum, you're either going to see this as a cheap product or something that's very expensive. If I was someone who had a lot of money, who had unlimited money, and who didn't really care about it, so if I was in a situation where I could wear a shirt and throw it out and not worry about washing it, then I'd probably get a Tumi or something like a Rimowa. Those bags look amazing, they have really great material, and they're very expensive as well. You're comparing something in the $200 range to something in the $500 to $1,000 range. And also they don't have extended warranty. So Tumi used to be known for very good extended warranties, but it hasn't really been the case recently. On the other end of the spectrum, you can buy a ton of Samsonites and basically use them and not worry too much about them given the cost. That's what I did in the past. And again, I think it works if you're someone who doesn't really travel often, just because you can rely on Costco's warranty. But again, if you're traveling once every single month, or maybe twice a month, you can't keep going back to Costco and returning stuff. If you go on 1 or 2 trips and the wheel ends up screwing up and you end up returning it to Costco, I think that's reasonable if you do that once every year. If you do it every single month though, I think that's going to raise a flag to them. And again, I just don't feel like that's appropriate. And just to clarify, here I'm not talking about buying something, using it for your purpose and then returning it. I'm talking about buying something, it failing, and then you returning it and buying the same thing again. So again, we have a way in the middle. We have the cheap Samsonites on one side, and we have the expensive bags on the other side. In the middle, there's also another option, and that's Briggs & Riley. Briggs is known for really great warranty, and a lot of people who are consultants, people who travel every day, do use those bags. So again, if you want something that's very trustworthy, I would go with that one as well. The main reason I don't go with them is because their bags are a bit more dated, and again, I think a bit of it was the fact that I couldn't really try it before I bought it. One thing I like about Away, about Casper, about Allbirds, about all these startup companies is that you can use their products in real life for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, and if you don't like it, you can still return it. With a lot of traditional companies, you can't really do that. You can't take a shirt, wear it for a week, wear it for 2 weeks, and then wash it, whatever else, and if you don't like it, you can't return it because you've already used it. For these Allbirds shoes that I bought, I can literally wear them in the mud and I can still return them. So the fact that I can use them and again, not really worry about it, to me makes a lot of sense. If I don't like it, I can return it. If I like it, I'm going to keep it. In the past, I used to be someone who'd rather have a lot of different items, even if they were really cheap and they broke down. And I think growing up now a bit more, I rather invest in items that are going to last a long time. So I'm very about buy it for life. So if I can buy something and I have a relatively high assurance that's going to last me for maybe 5 years or 10 years, I'm willing to pay a premium because it beats out paying $100 every year for the same product that breaks. On a side note, this was probably a really bad bag review just because I ended up doing some more analysis than I thought I would. Overall, it's a good bag, it's kept up. I like it. There's nothing really bad about it. If I was super rich, if I didn't care about money, I would probably get a nice Toomey for $1,000 and call it a day. I'd probably buy a full set of Toomeys for $5,000 and be very happy, but I'm not in a situation where I'm comfortable doing that. If you are, I think that is perfect for you. If you're someone who doesn't travel often, go with the Costco route. That's going to save you a ton of money, and you're probably not going to worry about it that much anyways. If you're someone who likes the idea of extended warranty, but you don't think Away is going to be around in the long term, whether it's going to be acquired or stay as a going concern, then go with something else like Briggs. They have a really good reputation, and I think it's a pretty good brand. If you're someone who wants to test drive something before trying it, then I definitely get an Away bag. If you don't like it, they pay for shipping. There's pretty much no risk. On that note, if you do want to buy one of these bags and you want to get $20 off, you can use a referral link down below. Just in case you're wondering, this video was not sponsored. I did buy the initial bag myself, and I kept it because it was a good bag. One final thing is that we're going to be giving one of these tiny little ones away, so it's not really a full bag, it's kind of a tiny miniature version, but I think it's pretty cool. This one's Mandy's, it's pink. You can select any other color you want and we'll give you that color. And obviously it's not really meant for travel, given that this is a small size and this is a lot smaller. So I think it's really good if you want to put stuff inside your bag for traveling, or if you just want a cool storage or something cool as a decoration in your room or wherever else. All you have to do is to be a subscriber, like this video, comment down below with which color you want. If you don't care about this, but you still like this video, then give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.